He disowned me in front of 53 people. Called me a thief. Destroyed my reputation. Made sure everyone knew I was dead to him. 3 weeks later, he needed my signature on a $3 million deal. The property was in my name. He forgot. I didn't. And when his lawyer called, when my stepmother begged, when my siblings demanded I help, I asked one simple question: why should I? What happened next changed everything. The dining room fell silent when my father stood up. I was holding a glass of water, halfway to my mouth, when his chair scraped against the hardwood floor. Everyone turned to look at him. 53 people packed into our family home in Charleston for what was supposed to be a celebration of his retirement. The chandelier cast warm light over the long table, making everything look golden and perfect. My father cleared his throat, raised his wine glass, and looked directly at me. His face was blank, emotionless. "I have an announcement," he said. The room leaned in. I set my glass down carefully, already feeling the shift in the air. Something was wrong. He didn't smile. "Cassandra is no longer my daughter. Effective immediately, she is removed from this family." The words hit me like cold water. My aunt gasped. My cousin dropped his fork. My stepmother, Victoria, sat perfectly still beside him, her lips curved into the smallest smile. My father wasn't finished. He listed my failures one by one. I was ungrateful. I questioned his decisions. I disrupted family harmony. I embarrassed him in front of colleagues. Each accusation landed like a stone. I sat frozen, unable to breathe. "You will leave this house tonight," he said. "Don't contact anyone here again." I stood slowly, legs shaking beneath me. The room was silent except for the ticking of the grandfather clock in the corner. No one moved. No one spoke. I walked toward the door, past faces I had known my entire life. My cousin Marcus, whose college tuition I helped arrange. My Aunt Diane, whose medical bills I quietly paid last year. My stepbrother Alan, who I drove to rehab 3 times when no one else would. Not one person met my eyes. I reached the hallway and heard Victoria whisper to someone nearby. "Finally," she said. The word was soft but sharp. I grabbed my coat from the closet near the entrance. My hands trembled as I buttoned it. Outside, the October air bit at my face. I could still see them through the window, returning to their meals, their conversations. The party continued as if I had never existed. I walked to my car parked at the end of the long driveway. Behind me, the house glowed with warmth and laughter. I realized something as I sat in the driver's seat, staring at the steering wheel. This wasn't spontaneous. This wasn't emotional. My father had planned this moment carefully, down to the guest list and timing. The next morning, I woke to 17 missed calls. None were apologies. I listened to the voicemails one by one. My uncle's voice came through first, tight with anger. "Cassandra, what you did to your father's accounts was unforgivable. How could you?" I deleted it, confused. The next message was from a family friend. "Stealing from your own father. I never thought you'd sink that low." Another deletion. By the 5th message, the story became clear. Someone was spreading a lie that I had stolen money from my father's business accounts. The accusation was specific enough to sound real. They claimed I had transferred funds without permission, using my access to cover personal expenses. It was completely false. But the details made it believable. I had worked in my father's commercial real estate firm for 6 years. I managed books, handled transactions, coordinated deals. I had access to everything because he trusted me. Or so I thought. The lie was working because it contained just enough truth to stick. Yes, I had account access. Yes, I handled money. No, I never stole a single dollar. I sat on my apartment floor, phone in hand, understanding exactly what was happening. They weren't just removing me. They were destroying my reputation so thoroughly that no one would question why. I wasn't loud. I wasn't the family rebel or troublemaker. That made me dangerous in a different way. I was the person who remembered things. Who kept spreadsheets when others kept promises. Who noticed when numbers didn't add up or when timelines shifted. For years, I had been the one managing details my father dismissed as beneath him. Rent collection from his properties. Maintenance schedules. Lease renewals. Contract deadlines. I didn't do it for recognition. I did it because things fell apart when no one paid attention. My father liked big deals and important meetings. He didn't like the small print or the follow-through. That was my job. I also kept records. Every email. Every transaction. Every authorization he signed. Not because I suspected anything, but because I was trained to document everything properly. 3 months ago, something changed. My father started asking me strange questions about property transfers and tax structures. He wanted to know how to move certain assets without triggering reviews. I told him the legal way to do it. He didn't like my answer. 2 weeks later, Victoria suggested I take a vacation. "You work too hard," she said sweetly. I refused. Now I understood. They needed me gone before something came due. Something that required my signature or my silence. I didn't call anyone to defend myself. I didn't post on social media or send angry messages. I let them think I was broken. Let them believe the disowning had crushed me completely. Silence was easier than fighting ghosts. Every accusation they spread lived in whispers and private conversations. Arguing would only make me look guilty and desperate. So I went quiet. I stopped answering calls from family. I deleted the group chats. I unfollowed everyone connected to my father's world. People probably thought I was hiding in shame. Let them think that. I spent my days working my regular job as a property manager for a downtown firm. I paid my bills. I went to the gym. I read books in coffee shops. Normal life continued around me while my family celebrated my absence. But I wasn't hiding. I was waiting. Because 3 weeks after the disowning, I received a letter in the mail. It was from the county property office, a routine notice about an estate property requiring annual documentation. The property was a commercial building my father purchased 8 years ago during a complicated bankruptcy acquisition. He had put it in my name temporarily for tax reasons, promising to transfer it back after 2 years. He never did. Legally, I still owned it. And according to this letter, a major decision about that property was coming due in 30 days. The property was called Riverside Plaza, a 4-story mixed-use building downtown. When my father bought it, the previous owner had defaulted during the recession. He got it cheap, renovated it, and filled it with tenants. Retail on the ground floor, offices above. It generated steady income every month. I remembered signing the paperwork when I was 31. My father explained it was strategic, something about liability protection and tax advantages I didn't fully understand. "Just temporary," he said. "I'll move it back into the company portfolio once things settle." I trusted him. I signed. Years passed. I managed the property like I managed everything else in his business, quietly and efficiently. Rent collection, maintenance requests, tenant complaints. The building ran smoothly because I kept it running smoothly. I never thought about the title. It didn't seem important. But now, staring at the county letter, I realized he never transferred it back because he forgot. Or because he assumed I'd always be there to handle it. The letter stated that the building was undergoing a zoning review that required owner approval for a major renovation project. A developer wanted to lease the entire building, but they needed the owner's signature on new construction permits. The deadline was November 15th. Without that signature, the deal would collapse. And I was the only person who could sign. 2 days after I received the county letter, my father's health collapsed. I heard about it through a former coworker who still spoke to me. He had a stroke during a business dinner. Sudden, severe, hospitalized immediately. He survived, but the doctors said recovery would take months. He couldn't make complex decisions right now. His speech was slurred, his memory patchy. Victoria was making medical decisions, but legal and financial matters were frozen. That's when the Riverside Plaza deal became a crisis. The developer had already invested in architectural plans. The tenants had been notified. The financing was arranged. Everything was ready except one signature. My father's company needed that deal. It was a $3 million contract over 5 years. Losing it would hurt their reputation and their cash flow. But my father couldn't sign. And the property wasn't in his name. It was in mine. I imagined the moment they realized. Someone in the office pulling up the title records, expecting to see my father's name. finding mine instead. The panic that must have followed. I wasn't part of the company anymore. I wasn't family. I was the daughter he publicly disowned 3 weeks earlier. And now they needed me. Victoria called on a Thursday afternoon. I was at my desk when my phone buzzed with her name. I stared at it for 3 rings before answering. Cassandra. Her voice was warm, almost sweet. How are you, dear? I said nothing. I know things have been difficult lately, she continued. But I wanted to reach out. Family is family, after all. Still, I waited. She cleared her throat. Your father is recovering well. We're all so grateful. But there are some business matters that need attention. Small things, really. We thought you might be willing to help. I leaned back in my chair. Help with what? There's a property issue. Riverside Plaza. Apparently, there's some paperwork that requires your signature. Just a formality, but it's holding up an important deal. Her tone was casual, like she was asking me to pass the salt. Why would I sign anything? I asked. The warmth in her voice flickered. Well, it's still your father's property. Technically. You're just listed as the owner for legal reasons. Surely you understand that. I understand the property is in my name, I said calmly, which makes me the legal owner. Silence stretched between us. When she spoke again, her voice had changed. Cassandra, let's not make this complicated. I have a question, I said, keeping my tone even. Why was I disowned publicly instead of privately? Victoria hesitated. What do you mean? If my father had a problem with me, he could have spoken to me privately. But he chose to humiliate me in front of 50 people. Why? She stumbled over her words. He was upset. You know how emotional he gets. He wasn't emotional, I said. He was calm. He had a list prepared. He had planned exactly what to say. Cassandra, I don't think, so why public? I interrupted. Why announce it like that unless the goal was to make sure everyone witnessed it? She went quiet. I could hear her breathing on the other end. What do you want? She finally asked. I want to understand why, I said simply. That's all. Why the performance? Her composure cracked. This isn't about that right now. We need your signature. Your father needs you to do the right thing. The right thing, I repeated. Like he did. She hung up. I set my phone down and smiled for the first time in weeks. She had called expecting desperation. Instead, she found someone who wasn't afraid anymore. That rattled her more than anything I could have said. Victoria called again 2 days later. This time she was ready. Let's be practical, she said. What will it take for you to sign? An apology, I replied. She laughed. Cassandra, you're being dramatic. A public apology, I continued. The same way I was publicly disowned. In front of the same people. That's absurd. Then no signature. Silence. Then her voice turned sharp. You don't understand what you're risking. That deal is important. Refusing to sign makes you look petty and vengeful. People will see you for what you really are. What am I? I asked. Selfish. Bitter. Everything your father said you were. I let the insults sit between us. Here's what I'm offering, she said, shifting tactics. We'll drop the theft accusations. Quietly. You sign the papers. We'll make sure people know it was all a misunderstanding. You get your reputation back. I never stole anything, I said. So you have nothing to give me. Cassandra, I'm not signing anything until my father acknowledges what he did. Publicly. Honestly. No conditions. Her voice dropped to ice. You'll regret this. Maybe, I said. But it won't be today. I hung up before she could respond. My siblings started calling next. First, my stepbrother Alan. Come on, Cass. Don't be like this. Dad's sick. He needs help. I reminded him I drove him to rehab 3 times. He mumbled something about that being different and hung up. Then my stepsister Nicole. You're making this about your feelings when it should be about family. I asked if she defended me during the disowning. She said she didn't want to get involved. I told her she already was. She hung up too. My half-brother Brian called last. He was younger, only 24. Look, I get it. You're mad. But this is bigger than you. The company needs this deal. Then they should have thought about that before disowning me, I said. That was between you and Dad. This is business. Everything is business until it isn't, I replied. He sighed. What do you want, Cass? I want what was taken from me. Your inheritance? Done. I'll talk to Dad. Not money, I said. My dignity. He didn't know what to say to that. None of them did. Not one apologized. Not one admitted I was wronged. They all just wanted me to fix their problem and disappear again. On the 10th day after the first call, my father phoned me himself. His voice was weak, slurred from the stroke, but unmistakable. Cassandra. I closed my eyes, gripping the phone. I need you to sign the papers. No greeting. No apology. Just need. Why should I? I asked. Because I'm your father. You disowned me, I said. You stood in front of everyone and said I was no longer your daughter. You listed my failures like evidence. You ordered me to leave. That was. He struggled for the word. Necessary. Necessary, I repeated. Yes. His breathing was labored. You were questioning things. Making problems. Victoria said you were becoming a liability. There it was. The truth sliding out because his filter was weakened. So you humiliated me to protect yourself, I said. To protect the family. I'm not your family anymore, I reminded him. You made that very clear. He was quiet for a moment. When he spoke again, his voice carried the old authority. You're still my responsibility. You'll do what I say. I almost laughed. No, I said. I won't. Cassandra, you don't have authority over me anymore. You gave that up. His breath caught. You're being unreasonable. I'm being exactly what you made me, I said. Then I hung up. He called back an hour later. I answered. You can't do this, he said. His voice shook. I can, I said. The property is in my name. Legally, it's mine. I don't have to do anything. That was temporary. You know that. Then you should have transferred it back years ago. He made a sound, something between frustration and desperation. Everything I built will fall apart. That deal is critical. Then maybe you shouldn't have destroyed your relationship with the one person who could help you, I said. He was quiet. I could hear machines beeping in the background. Hospital sounds. What do you want? He finally asked. I want you to admit you were wrong. I wasn't wrong, he said automatically. Then we have nothing to talk about. Cassandra, please. The word sounded foreign in his mouth. You can't just walk away from this. You walked away from me, I said. In front of everyone. You made sure I knew I was nothing to you. That's not. Do you remember what you said? I interrupted. You called me ungrateful. Disruptive. An embarrassment. You said I questioned your decisions like that was a crime. His breathing grew heavier. I was angry. You were calculating, I corrected. And now you need me. Funny how that works. I pulled out every document I had saved over the years. Emails, contracts, meeting notes, transaction records. I organized them into folders on my laptop, labeling everything by date and project. There was nothing incriminating. I had never done anything wrong. But the records showed something important. They showed I had been essential. Every deal my father closed in the past 6 years had my fingerprints on it. I coordinated the details. I caught the errors. I made sure deadlines were met. Without me, his business ran slower, Messier. I wasn't trying to build a case against him. I was simply reminding myself of the truth. I had value. I had contributed. And I had been erased anyway. The Riverside Plaza documents were especially clear. I found the original purchase agreement, the transfer paperwork putting the property in my name, and years of correspondence showing I managed everything about that building. My father's signature was on the transfer document. His lawyer had prepared it. There was no confusion about what happened. He put the property in my name and never took it back. Now, helping them would cost me nothing financially. The building generated income one never touched. It went straight to the company accounts. Signing the renovation permits wouldn't hurt me. But it would change everything. It would show them I could be pushed aside and still expected to save them. I made a decision. I would help, but only on my terms. No rushing. No begging. No pretending the disowning never happened. I drafted a simple email to Victoria. I'm willing to discuss the Riverside Plaza situation under the following conditions. 1. My father acknowledges publicly that he was wrong to disown me. 2. The theft accusations are retracted publicly, not quietly. 3. Any future business involving properties in my name will be transferred back immediately with proper legal documentation. 4. I will not be contacted by anyone in the family unless it pertains directly to this matter. If these terms are acceptable, we can schedule a meeting. If not, the property remains as is. I read it 3 times before sending it. The reply came 6 hours later. These demands are ridiculous. You're acting like a child. We'll find another way. I wrote back, good luck. Then I blocked her number. They assumed I was bluffing. They thought I needed them more than they needed me. They were wrong. I had walked away from their world once already. I could do it again. The deadline was 2 weeks away when I received a formal letter from my father's attorney. It outlined the financial damage that would occur if the Riverside Plaza deal collapsed. Lost revenue, broken contracts, damaged relationships. The letter ended with a veiled threat about potential legal action. I forwarded it to my own attorney, a sharp woman named Caroline Torres who specialized in property law. She read it and laughed. They have no grounds, she said. The property is yours. You owe them nothing. Can they force the transfer? I asked. Not without your consent. And given the circumstances, any judge would side with you. She leaned back in her chair. What do you want to do? I want my dignity back, I said. Then make them come to you, she replied. On your terms. In your space. I thought about it. What if I invited them to meet? Somewhere neutral. Like where? The house where he disowned me, I said. Caroline raised an eyebrow. That's bold. It's fitting, I said. She smiled. I like it. Let's do it. I sent the invitation through Caroline. My father, Victoria, and my siblings were invited to the family home for a meeting. The same dining room. The same table. November 10th, 3 days before the deadline. They could come and talk, or the deal could die. The response came within an hour. We'll be there. I arrived at the house 30 minutes early. The air was cold, the sky gray. I stood on the front steps, remembering the last time I walked out. The door opened. Victoria stood there, her face carefully blank. Cassandra. Victoria. I stepped inside. Nothing had changed. Same furniture, same photos on the walls, same smell of lavender and wood polish. The dining room was set up exactly as before. Long table, high-backed chairs, chandelier glowing above. My father sat at the head of the table. He looked smaller now, thinner. His face was pale, his left hand resting limply on the armrest. My siblings sat along the sides. Alan, Nicole, Brian. All watching me with guarded expressions. I took the seat at the opposite end of the table. The same seat I sat in when he disowned me. No one spoke. No one apologized. The silence stretched until I broke it. I'm here because you need something from me, I said. So let's talk. I looked at my father. 4 weeks ago, you stood in this room and told 53 people that I was no longer your daughter. My voice was calm, measured. You said I was ungrateful. You said I questioned your decisions and disrupted family harmony. You said I embarrassed you. I paused. You ordered me to leave immediately. You didn't ask to speak privately. You didn't give me a chance to respond. You made it a performance. The room was silent. Then, someone spread a lie that I stole money from your accounts. That lie destroyed my reputation. People I've known my whole life think I'm a thief. I looked at Victoria. And now you need me to sign papers for a property that's legally mine. A property you put in my name 8 years ago and conveniently forgot about. My father's jaw tightened. We can explain. I'm not finished, I said. His mouth closed. I continued. I spent 6 years managing your business. I handled details you ignored. I fixed problems you didn't see. I kept things running when you were too busy making deals. And this is how you repaid me. I let the words settle. Alan shifted in his chair. Nicole looked at her hands. Victoria's face remained hard. So before we discuss Riverside Plaza, I want to hear the truth. Why did you disown me? I asked. And don't say I was disruptive. Tell me the real reason. My father glanced at Victoria. She gave him a small nod. You were asking questions, he said slowly. About transactions. Transfers. What kind of transfers? I pressed. He hesitated. Victoria cut in. Your father was restructuring assets. Moving things around for tax purposes. You kept questioning the timeline and the legality. Because some of it wasn't legal, I said. The room went still. You were moving properties into offshore accounts to avoid taxes. You wanted me to process the paperwork without documentation. I refused. My father's face darkened. That's not, I have the emails, I said. I kept everything. Brian's head snapped toward my father. You told us she was stealing. She was going to report me, my father said. His words were slurred but clear enough. She threatened to go to the authorities. I never threatened anything, I said. I told you I wouldn't participate in fraud. There's a difference. Nicole's eyes widened. So you disowned her to shut her up? My father said nothing. Victoria leaned forward. You're twisting this. Your father made a business decision. He made a choice to cover his mistakes by destroying me, I interrupted. And you helped him. The lies were unraveling in real time. My siblings looked at each other, confusion and anger dawning on their faces. They had been told I betrayed the family. Now they were learning the truth. My father's hands trembled on the table. I need your help, he said quietly. Not as my father. As a man facing consequences. The deal falls apart without your signature. The company loses credibility. We lose revenue. He looked at me, his eyes tired. Please. The room waited. I could sign the papers and walk away. I could let the deal collapse and watch everything burn. Or I could choose something else. I'll help you, I said. His face flooded with relief. But not the way you want, I continued. The relief faded. I'll sign the Riverside Plaza documents. But I'm doing it publicly, with a statement explaining exactly what happened. Why the property is in my name. Why you needed me after disowning me. The truth. Cassandra, no, Victoria started. And, I continued, you will retract the theft accusations. Publicly. In writing. Sent to every person who heard the lie. My father stared at me. If you refuse, the deal dies. And I'll make sure everyone knows why. I leaned forward. You wanted to erase me quietly. I'm offering you a chance to correct that loudly. Take it or leave it. The room was silent. My father looked at Victoria. She shook her head slightly. But he didn't listen to her. Fine, he said. I'll do it. Victoria erupted. Absolutely not. You can't let her dictate terms like this. She's manipulating you. I'm holding him accountable, I corrected. That's not the same thing. You want to humiliate him publicly, she snapped. The same way he humiliated me, I replied. Yes. She turned to my father. Tell her no. We'll find another way. There is no other way, I said. The deadline is 3 days away. No other signature gets that deal done. My father raised his hand weakly. Enough. Victoria's mouth tightened. He looked at me. What exactly do you want me to say? The truth, I said. That you disowned me based on false accusations. That I never stole anything. That the property in question has always been managed by me legally and properly. And that you were wrong. His face was grey. You want me to admit I lied? Yes. He closed his eyes. When he opened them, something had shifted. I'll do it. I'll write the statement. I'll send it to everyone. Victoria stood abruptly. This is insane. She's taking advantage. She's right, my father said. Victoria froze. He looked at her. You told me she was a problem. That she'd destroy everything. You pushed me to cut her out before she talked. His voice grew stronger. This was your idea. Victoria's face went pale. You can't blame this on me. You made the decision. You orchestrated it, my father said. Every word. Every accusation. You wrote the speech. The room went silent. My siblings stared at Victoria. That's not true, she said, but her voice wavered. You told me she was going to report me, my father continued. That I had to act first. That public disowning would discredit anything she said later. I sat back, watching the unraveling. You used me, my father said. You wanted her gone because she saw through you. Victoria's composure shattered. She was dangerous. She kept records. She asked questions. She would have ruined everything we built. We? My father repeated. You mean everything you built using my name? Her mouth opened and closed. I protected you, she finally said. You protected yourself, he replied. My siblings exchanged glances. Nicole spoke first. You lied to all of us. Victoria turned to her. I did what was necessary. You destroyed Cassandra's reputation, Brian said. For what? To cover up Dad's shady deals. To protect this family, Victoria insisted. Alan laughed bitterly. You protected yourself. We're just collateral damage. Victoria looked around the table, realizing she had lost them all. Her control, built on manipulation and secrets, collapsed in real time. She had no defense left. Only exposure. My father straightened in his chair. His voice was weak but clear. I'm calling a family meeting. Next week. Everyone who was here the night I disowned Cassandra will be invited back. Victoria started to protest, but he held up his hand. I will read a statement, he continued. Admitting I was wrong. Explaining the truth about the theft accusations. Acknowledging Cassandra's role in managing the business and the properties. He looked at me. Is that acceptable? I nodded. And the written retraction? I'll draft it tonight, he said. You'll have it tomorrow. Victoria made a sound of disgust and walked out of the room. No one stopped her. My father watched her go, then turned back to me. I can't undo what I did to you. No, I agreed. You can't. But I can try to make it right. Not for me, I said. For yourself. He nodded slowly, understanding. This wasn't about restoring our relationship. It was about restoring truth. I stood. I'll have my attorney send the signature authorization once I receive your statement. Thank you, he said. Don't thank me, I replied. This isn't forgiveness. It's just honesty. I walked out of the dining room, past the same chairs, the same faces, the same walls. But this time, I wasn't running. I was walking away on my own terms. The family meeting happened the following Saturday. I didn't attend. I didn't need to. My father read his statement in front of 47 people. He admitted he was wrong to disown me. He explained that the theft accusations were false, created to justify his actions. He acknowledged my work managing his properties and business operations. He named Victoria as the architect of the plan. The statement was clear, detailed, and honest. My Aunt Diane called me afterward, crying. I'm so sorry, Cassandra. We should have stood up for you. Yes, I said. You should have. Can you forgive us? I don't know yet, I replied. But I appreciate you asking. Others called too. Apologies, explanations, excuses. I listened to some and ignored others. My father sent the written retraction to everyone on the original guest list. It was posted in the family group chat, emailed to colleagues, shared with church friends. The lie was publicly dismantled. But I didn't want more than that. I didn't want his money. I didn't want a place in his will. I didn't want Sunday dinners or holiday invitations. I wanted peace. And peace meant distance. When my attorney confirmed the Riverside Plaza documents were signed and filed, I initiated the property transfer back to my father's company. I didn't need it. I never wanted it. I just wanted the choice to be mine. My father recovered slowly over the following months. His speech improved. His strength returned. But something in him had changed. He was quieter, more careful. Victoria left him 3 months after the family meeting. The divorce was quiet and quick. My siblings and I spoke occasionally. Tentatively. We were rebuilding something, but it wasn't the same. It would never be the same. I moved to a different city, took a new job, started fresh. No one from my old life knew the full story. I didn't need them to. I built new friendships based on honesty, not history. Sometimes I thought about that night in the dining room. The toast that destroyed me. The walk of shame. The silence that followed. And I realized something important. My father disowned me to feel powerful. To regain control when he felt it slipping. But power built on humiliation is just fear dressed up. He was afraid of what I knew, what I could do, what I represented. And so he tried to erase me. But I didn't need his approval to exist. I didn't need his acknowledgement to have worth. I needed only one thing. The courage to walk away and mean it. He survived his stroke, humbled and exposed. Victoria lost her influence and her marriage. My siblings lost the comfort of silence. And I gained something better than revenge. I gained my dignity, my independence, and my voice back. He disowned me to feel powerful. I walked away to finally be free.